know how to do well in the interview, or perhaps you have found yourself in a situation where you have been applying for different roles here recently, and for some reason you're applying to a lot of positions and you're receiving interviews. After you go on the interviews, you're not receiving any feedback, or you're not able to secure an employment opportunity. Has this happened to you? If it has, this is the best place for you to be today. I'm going to share with you three ways that you can stand out in an interview. And I'm not going to talk about the basics, the fundamentals that everyone knows that you need to do. No, I'm going to talk about things that are a bit more different than what you may be thinking. So if you're thinking I'm going to talk about what you need to wear and having your resume ready, not today. Today we're going to go to that next level. That's the reason why I started my business over 5 years ago now, was really to help women in leadership to go to that next level in their careers so that they could enhance their confidence, develop their executive presence, and to master higher level communication skills so that they could advance in their careers and feel a bit more empowered about life. I do want to share with you that this is a great topic if you are in the process of looking for an employment opportunity, or perhaps you are in the middle of your interviewing process and you know that you're doing something incorrect, but you're not quite sure what it is. Well, we're going to talk about that today. I do want to also share with you, for those of you who are watching the replay before everyone that's watching live joins, is that I do have a very special offer this week. If you are at that place where you are either interviewing or you are perhaps getting your resume ready and you want to get some expert level advice from a C-suite executive that's been doing this for over 20 plus years, looking at resumes and going through interviews, this is a fantastic opportunity for you to be able to fast track your success very quickly. I'm offering a very special one time this week offer for my clients that is going to be to help you prepare your resumes, and then also to help you prepare for interviews and help you with leadership coaching. So it's a lot of things I'm going to be able to offer to you this upcoming week in the form of packages to get you where you need to be for these positions. Sorry, my light went out. It keeps doing that sometimes. But nonetheless, thank you all for joining today. I appreciate you being here. If you have not subscribed to the channel, this is a fantastic time for you to subscribe. If you are ready to go to that next level in your leadership roles, this is the place where you're going to get real world advice, not only just theory, you're going to get actually what happens in reality. So learn from my over 20 years of experience as a C-suite executive, a manager, and a director that will absolutely fast track your success. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, definitely subscribe. You want to learn more information about how to do well in interviews and with your resume, and as a leader, this is the place to be. So before I get started with the 3 tips, 3 ways you can stand out in your interview, I want to say hello to everyone that's joining. So hello, Pablo891. Hello, thank you for being here. Raj, thank you for being here. Welcome, welcome. If you don't mind to share what part of this amazing world you are joining from, that would be fantastic. Just place it in the comments below, and so we can know exactly a little bit more about each other. While everyone is engaging in the chat, the first strategy, the first way that you can stand out in your interview is not by the way you dress. That's important, but as I mentioned in the beginning, we're talking about more advanced skills to really help you stand out in the interview. The first is what you say. Now, this, I cannot over stress how important it is for you to be very concise in terms of what you are saying to other people. I will give you an example. The best way for you to be able to do well in interviews is to prepare your stories that you want to talk about in advance. If you need some help preparing stories, then absolutely contact me, send me a message or send me an email at info@exciteexcellence.org, or you can DM me on any platform I'm on right now, LinkedIn, Instagram, and there's a platform on Facebook too. It will be a great opportunity for you to get some customized support, some customized help that will help you do very well in your interview. Now, you can develop your stories, but how you say things is very important. A lot of times I have people coming into the interviews and they'll stumble a bit, or they may talk really low, or just say, I don't know, everything's, I don't know, I'm not sure. You'll have people that do that. So you want to be really mindful of what you're saying. A couple things I would recommend for you to do is to use words that are more affirmative. What specifically I mean is to use words that are instilling confidence in you. Oftentimes, people, when they're in interview settings, these are the most common words I hear that I want you all not to say. Are you ready? I don't know. I think so. I'm not sure. I have to think about that. I've never been asked that before. All of these type of statements that people say in interviews will absolutely crush your confidence mentally in your mind. And when you're interviewing with someone, it makes it sound like you don't know what you're talking about. And one of the things that we're going to talk about in our second way you can stand out in the interview is to make sure you are presenting your best foot forward so that the people interviewing you will be able to know that you are the best candidate for this position. So these are things you want to keep in mind is what you are saying. Develop your stories. Make sure you don't say those confidence killing words or statements that show that you are not confident. A lot of times people do this subconsciously. They're not used to being in an interview setting and they're so comfortable being able to just say the first thing that comes out of their mouth, which sometimes you may want to be a bit more reserved and give yourself a bit more time to think. You don't have to say the first thing that comes out of your mouth all the time. And oftentimes the very first default that I notice people say is, I don't know, I'm not sure. So you want to eliminate that from your vocabulary if you want to stand out in your next interview. Now, before I go into my second strategy or second way you can stand out in your interview, I want to make sure I say hello to everyone joining live. So we have DIY Maddie J. Hello, welcome, welcome. And we have John Coringo. Hello, welcome, welcome. Please let me know what part of this world you are joining from today. I'll be glad to see that information. If you have any questions specifically as it relates to preparing for interviews or getting some additional support with interviews, this is a fantastic time for you to learn from over my 20 years experience to help you do very well in your next interview. I will be here live for a few more moments. So this is a great opportunity to get that expert level advice that you need, that you would typically have to invest a lot of your time and your resources in to get. Now, we talked about our first strategy. The first way you can stand out in the interview is being mindful of what you say. If you didn't catch that, definitely check the replay out so that you'll see exactly specifically what I said and what are words that you want to avoid saying in your interview. Now, the second way you can stand out in an interview is to be mindful of how you make the interviewer feel. This I want to dive into a bit more. Have you ever been in an interview setting where you just felt tense? You felt just very stressed out? I have been in those settings myself when I've interviewed people and when I have interviewed previously as well. How you make the interviewer feel and how you feel is very important. And it's a great way to make you stand out when you are trying to interview for a position. Let me share to you specifically why. When someone is interviewing you for a specific role, for a job, there's a couple things that are going through their mind. One, they have a position that they need to fill very, very quickly. Two, they have a situation where they need to do and take care of things as soon as possible, and they have a role that they need to accomplish. So when they are in the interview setting, believe it or not, they want to have somebody just as much as you want to be there. They probably have a lot of stress going on. They have a lot of things they're dealing with and worrying about, or projects that are on hold because they don't have somebody in the process doing the interview. Now, I will tell you that if you can make the interviewer feel confident in what you're saying, or that they feel more relaxed in what you are offering, and that they feel comfortable saying, you know what, I think this person is going to be the best person for this job because they told me all of the wonderful things they've been doing. And I feel just a bit more relaxed with having them here because I know they're going to take care of things. This will make you stand out as a candidate. A lot of candidates don't actually do this. What they will do is they will sit and they will talk about what they did and how they accomplished things and some of their successes. But I will share with you one of the things that they do most of the time is that they will put themselves in a situation where they end up having a gap in terms of how they actually are going to be able to help the company. What they do oftentimes is, outside of just talking just random things that they have done, they don't really tie into how can you really help this company? How can we make this skill that you have of being able to communicate well, or being in a situation where you can be very good with other people, in terms of how can you tie this around to how you're going to help the company? I'll give you an example this is a lot of times people will do this. They'll say, I'm a good listener, or I'm a great speaker. Well, how can we use that skill to be able to help you as you are talking to the person you're interviewing with, or perhaps the organization as a whole? This is something you want to tie into your overall strategy so that you are in a place where you're not only being mindful of what you say, as I said, for the first way you can stand out in an interview. And then second, you're making the interviewer feel a little bit more confident about what they're saying. Excuse me, just one moment. My daughter is trying to hijack my live because she wants some graham crackers. So just a second. Okay, please go downstairs. Thank you. Alrighty. So that is something I would recommend for you to make sure that you do, is to tie in your experiences, your skill set into how you can help the company. Don't just talk about them. Talk about how can you help the company? What specifically can you do to help them with a project or an initiative or whatever it is they have going on? Now, I hope these helped you. These are two. Now, before I go into the third, I want to make sure I say hello to anyone that has joined. Welcome, welcome. Palemas, yes, hello. And you're from Brazil. Welcome, welcome. Glad to see you here today. If you have any questions as it relates to interviewing, preparing your resume, being a leader, anything like that, ask me. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. Ask me any questions. I'm here to help you on your journey to elevate and really advance in your career. Now, for those of you who are just joining, we are talking about three ways that you can stand out in your next interview. The first, we talked about what to say. So you want to watch a replay for that. The second was that we talked about how you make the interviewer feel. And third, and finally, is one that a lot of people do not talk about that often when they are trying to get themselves ready for interviews. Now, I want to know from you, have you ever struggled in interviews? Have you ever went on a lot of interviews and felt like nothing was happening? You went on the interviews seemed like everything went great, and then you hear nothing, or you hear crickets, or you don't hear any conversation, they don't give any feedback, or you get an automatic rejection. If you've ever been in that situation, I definitely want to help you on your journey. There's a lot of things you may be doing that may be preventing you from moving forward in the interview. And if you reach out to me, DM me, or email me at info@exciteexcellence.org, we can definitely come up with a strategy specifically for you that will help you on your journey. Now, I want to go into the third strategy that will help you to stand out in the interview. And this is actually very important. And a lot of people don't talk about it in terms of how important that it really is. Now, it goes into the line of strategy number one. It does a bit. It talks about the very first question that majority of time you're going to be asked in an interview, which is, tell me about yourself. I have found that the candidates who can accurately say, tell me about yourself, are the ones that set the tone for the interview. Now, oftentimes you may think that you can't set the tone for an interview, but you actually can set the tone for the interview. Reason being is that if you come into the interview and they ask you the question, tell me about yourself, depending on what your response is, that will dictate how this conversation goes. For instance, if you come into an interview setting and you have a tell me about yourself that starts like this, and I'm going to share with you what you should not do in your interview. Please don't do this. Please learn from my over 20 years experience looking at hundreds of resumes, having hundreds of interviews, to not do this. If you come into the interview and someone says, well, tell me about yourself, and you say, well, I graduated from here, and then I went to school here, and then I worked at this job, and then I worked here, and then I decided to go here, and then I want to apply for this opportunity because I like the company. Those are the best way for you to make the interviewers not feel confident about you. And we talked about that in our second way to stand out in the interview. So if you missed it, definitely make sure you watch the replay. What happens when you go through that chronological list, which a lot of times we're just taught how to do that. We're not taught how to interview any differently. We're just going through chronologically. I started here and I went here. Well, what I encourage you to do is your tell me about yourself should be your elevator pitch. And if you're not familiar with elevator pitch, it is something that people talk about in networking and in business settings, where if you were on an elevator with someone and you wanted to talk to them a bit more about yourself and tell them how amazing you are, then you would have a elevator pitch. Basically, you would tell them these are the things you've done and this is what you can do. What I'd recommend for you to do for tell me about yourself, because this is a hard question to answer. And if you want me to do a separate, entirely separate video about tell me about yourself, I will absolutely do it and make sure that you all are good in terms of being able to respond with that question. Just put it in the comments below or put it in the comments when you're watching the replay. Let me know and I'll absolutely do a video on this because this question is so important. This is why I have this as strategy number 3. But if you can say, tell me about yourself in a way that 1, highlights your expertise, 2, provides gratitude to being able to have an opportunity, and 3, talks about what specifically you can do for the company will help you to stand out in an interview. The next step further for that will be to make sure that you spend some time and find out what are some projects that the company is working on, what are some initiatives that they might be developing, and think about your skills in terms of how specifically you can tie those into those projects that they're working on. All this takes is a bit of research on your end. Look them up online, see if they have social media accounts, because this is a company that you're looking to interview with, so this will give you an opportunity to talk a bit more about what you can do for them. I will guarantee you, if you can have a tell me about yourself that goes into how you can help a company, it will make you stand out when you are in an interview. Now, before I go into the summary of everything, I want to make sure I say hello to anyone else that has joined. Hello, Joy. Hello. Nice to see you here. Good to see you here as always. Appreciate your support. So I want to go into the top 3 ways that you can stand out in an interview. And the first way that you can stand out in an interview is to watch what you say. Make sure you're saying words in a very concise manner and that develops the executive presence that you need to showcase to the hiring manager. The second is to be mindful of how you make the interviewer feel. They need to feel confident and relaxed that you are the best person for this position. And the third is to make sure you answer, tell me about yourself correctly. If you answer it incorrectly, it will place you in the category with everyone else who talks about a chronological path of how they got to where they are. So these are 3 great strategies that I teach my clients when we do our interview preparation sessions one-on-one, where we go through helping them prepare for interviews. Now, I will tell you that I do a deep dive into positions they are applying for and develop those type of questions that are specifically catered to the jobs they are applying for. And I have had a tremendous amount of success on my clients, especially as it relates to preparing for their interviews. You feel free to check out some reviews on my website at exciteexcellence.org and on my LinkedIn page at Dr. Jacinta Lamontai as well. It is a great opportunity for you to really elevate your interviewing skills to that next level. So if you want some customized support in terms of preparing for your interviews, feel free to let me know. I'm here to really support you on your journey. And as I mentioned to many of you at the very beginning of the live, and I appreciate you all for being here and staying with me on this particular live, is that I do have a special offer going on this week. This week, I'm going to be offering resume support, interview preparation support, and leadership coaching support, executive coaching support to help you all get through this transition. We just finished up with Q1. I know there's a lot of people that are not where they wanted to be when they started 2025. And I want to make sure I'm providing you with support, helping you prepare for your resumes, helping you also prepare for your interviews, and getting you to that next level. So if you want some additional support, feel free to let me know. Email me at info@exciteexcellence.org, and I will absolutely set some time out for you so we can at least talk about where you are, where you're going, and what we can do to try to work together to get you there, especially when it relates to those 3 topics. Now, I want to see what comments we have. Okay, Joy said, yes, indeed. Please curate a tell me about yourself elevator share, okay, that may be applied to my upcoming interview experiences. Thank you in advance. Okay, thank you, Joy. Absolutely. I will do that just for you, okay? So I will make sure I do this. And I believe probably for tell me about yourself, I will most likely do a different type of live for that just because it is so involved. There's a lot that goes into it. And there's a couple strategies that I share with my clients to let them know this is the way you will absolutely do a fantastic job with tell me about yourself. And present it in such a way to where you automatically just, wow, catch the person off guard. I did this with a client actually this week, and it's so exciting. I don't want to share everything about it specifically, but I have a unique way of doing it. And it depends on what your situation is. If you're just starting a new job, tell me about yourself has to be structured in a different way. However, if you're applying for a promotion for like within your company, there is another great way to make you stand out when you're saying, tell me about yourself. So Joy, I will absolutely do a video just for you to talk more about tell me about yourself and how to structure it. That will be something that will be a lot of fun. And I'll probably do it in a different type of format to where it's more of a masterclass type setting, because there is so much that we have to unpack in that. And I'll do this also for my audience as well, because this was a great suggestion by Joy. Any of you who are able to join the live, either I'm going to do a live or a masterclass for that particular tell me about yourself question. If you come to the event and you have a couple of samples of what you want to say as a tell me about yourself, I will take a look at them live with you, and I'll provide you with some insights in terms of what you can consider doing to revise it so that it really stands out. So I will do that for my audience. I appreciate you all so much for subscribing to my channel and just being here and being present, and I want to be able to help you all on your journey. So I want to know from you, do you have any questions specifically as it relates to how to stand out in interviews? I know it can be really challenging, and interviews can feel a bit intimidating, but if you are at the place where you are able to develop your executive presence and master how you are communicating with other people, especially as it relates to interviews, it will help you to not feel as nervous when you're going into those interviews. A lot of times people just don't know what to say. They feel like they stumble and they are just worried. But I will tell you that if you have the right guidance in the right direction, it will help you tremendously with not only interviewing, but actually in the roles that you decide to go to, because you will put yourself in a place where you automatically are exceptional, which most of you already are, but you're at a higher level than your peers. And that is really my mission here. That's why I started my business 5 years ago, was to help other women in leadership get to that next level that is much higher than their peers right now. Now, I understand a lot of you may not be in my target audience of women in leadership, and that is completely okay. I still appreciate you all being here, and I know that you're very passionate about developing and enhancing your leadership skills. So you're welcome to get any information you can, and I will still support you on your journey regardless of where you are and which discipline you are in. So if you all don't have any questions, or I'll wait for just a moment to see if anyone has any questions specifically as it relates to standing out in the interview. If not, I will be back this week. As many of you know, I do my lives Monday through Friday around about the same time. Sometimes it may be earlier depending on what's going on, but I am going to be here to provide you with value. This week, I'm really focusing in on resumes, and I'm focusing on interviewing and executive coaching. So for the next couple of days, we'll probably focus a bit more on interviewing, because I know a lot of people have contacted me and they're struggling with this. So I want to make sure I'm providing with as much support as I possibly can. All right. Well, if you all don't have any questions, I'm looking forward to engaging with you more. And if you have any ideas or any topics you want to learn more about, I will absolutely do a video for you on that and provide you with some additional insight. We have one more here. Okay, Joyce said, I truly appreciate that. I am grateful for your expert advice and support with my recent resume maker with you. Oh, absolutely. Thank you. I enjoyed working with you. I now have the ideal tool that is getting me noticed and sparking deeper conversations. Awesome. That's great. Congratulations. And you're on my list to check up with this week anyways, with my clients. So appreciate that so much. And absolutely, working together is a great way to at least get that custom support that you need to help go to that next level. All of you are very accomplished and can do a lot of things on your own. But sometimes it does help you to be able to accelerate your growth and get things done a bit faster when you have someone that's done it before or has done it many, many times over. So it's a great way to expedite your career growth and be able to accelerate where you're trying to go. Oh, Joyce said, my investment in your expert resume service and guidance has already paid off, worth every cent. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad things are going well, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you this week to see how things are going, and I see what progress you're making in your role, so I'm excited for you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and of course, it's an absolute pleasure working with you also. All right. If you all don't have any other questions, Feel free to let me know if you need some support in any other ways, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now.